there was no beep that time, so let me turn the volume up, make sure everything is working. All right, well, if you can't hear me, let me know. Let's see. Hopefully it's working. I can always turn my other device on and try and access it. So for the first few minutes, I tried to ramble a little bit, give people a chance to show up if they're going to show up. Hold on one second. I am getting my other device here. If this one's a little punchy and slow, I apologize. I am still using a old device. Hang on one second while I check the sound. Hey, it's working. I hate hearing myself. Okay. So I'm going to come at this from a different angle than most of the other channels. A lot of times people will say, what can I do? What can I do to affect change or affect positive change? Or, about this worldwide problem, what can little old me do? Well, I know it's corny and cliche at this point, but I am a big proponent of changing yourself. We all may have a different perspective in how we experience life, but there is only one truth. But we are at different angles in that spectrum, and so we see things from a different angle and perspective, um, which is different from each other, right? And so this is what I do. I expose evil. I expose what I can. We take the fear out of things at this channel. We remove the fear through educating you and educating myself and learning together. Please don't come at me with the typical Christian arguments. Though I am a Christ follower, I do not go in with your manipulation. And those who I'm speaking to know who I'm speaking to. It is not one specific group. There are deceivers in every single group. Let me also be clear. Everyone is welcome here. I don't hate anyone, and I am so eager to learn and soak things up from other people. It's not even funny. And I will not stand for other people being hated on and all of that. But somebody made a comment, and I want to again make something very clear, and I hope you stay. Sometimes we throw out the baby with the bathwater, meaning somebody might be speaking a truth or something that convicts us or something that can help us or others, and we stop listening to them because of what political affiliation they may have or what religion they fall under or what demographic they live in or were raised in. Let's not do that. Let's not do that here at this channel. Let's all try and change our mindsets a little bit. And I'm not telling you to be so open-minded that you fall for anything. I'm telling you to be open-minded enough to live in harmony with those around you. And harmony is not the same thing as peace. I was raised Catholic. I disagree with a lot of the things that the institution or organization itself has been accused of, right? Because we know Satan is the accuser. So let's not presume people are guilty before they're even have a fair trial. And I see that happening daily in our own justice system. People are just falling in with this mob mentality, and you go into the comment section and everybody's getting agitated and riled up. And even people saying they are Catholic or Christian channels are just instigating each other. You have to ask yourself how they got to the position where they got to. If they have over a couple 100,000 subscribers, there is a reason for that. And there is a reason they're on the upswing. You will probably see them do the hand signals at some time. You will see the typical thumbnails for them at some time. For whatever reason, there are these poses that they all do. And again, it harkens back to the Egyptian era and the Greek era. And I'm about to try and display that those two things are in fact the same religion. They were just repackaged and rebranded, much as you're seeing today with communism has been repackaged and rebranded as a more acceptable version of socialism, that hopefully, people were expecting our children to fall in for, which many of them have, because we have some big problems here with homelessness and with man-made influences occurring in nature and those not of man. How do we cope with that? We can't always change things. Sometimes what we need to do is cope with them. The branch that does not bend will break. So anyway, there was a comment, and I wanted to say I was raised Catholic. I consider myself at this point in time, I would have been excommunicated if it was Vatican I, but being that Vatican II happened, I have not been excommunicated, which I consider a saving grace because I was checking out other churches. I was falling into Protestant fundamentalism, and it did not help me get better. It did not get me delivered. In fact, it made me worse. And so I went back to my roots and where the sacraments are and where I believe the dogma and doctrine is closer to where it should be than with other religions. Now, let's be clear, there's a hierarchy. God has a hierarchy. He has his, what's called an army underneath of him in his pyramid, and everyone has a purpose and a job. And the angels, like anything else, some of them had free will, and there's a war in heaven. And with the war in heaven as above, so below, well, there's a war on earth too, because they are the principalities that govern us. They are our government, are the watchers. Some fallen, some not. Either way, much like with nature and tidal waves, for example, hurricanes, tornadoes, I might not worship little g gods or false idols, but I definitely know to steer clear of them and show them the respect that they deserve, being that they are in God's hierarchy. I want to make that very clear too. You're saying, what does this have to do with the Olympics? I'll get there in a minute, momentarily. So I was raised Catholic, but I disagree with some of the luxury, but it is considered to be beauty. Poor people shouldn't be kept from art or beauty either, nor resources like water and housing. I have more of a communal living mindset, but you can't force anyone into donating their time or their money or being philanthropists. You can't force people to do things like that, which is communism. Communal living, like the Essenes did, and some got Gnostics in history, the Chaldeans, they also did this. They would pick a river because that's a water source, and you need that to stay alive. They would live by the rivers, and they left society because they thought it was so wicked. Some people get that confused and say, well, Gnostics think that the flesh itself is wicked. I don't think that's necessarily true, and I think personally, I think there is truth in every religion. We used to be one religion until everybody fell out with each other, and there was a war in heaven, and as I said, that affected us down here. Everyone is welcome here. Please don't judge me because I was raised Catholic and I believe in the hierarchy and the doctrine that they have because it sets your mind in the proper order. What do I mean by that? People are getting mad about this Olympic thing, and I think that they are getting mad and outraged at the wrong thing. And again, please don't just get angry and, well, I disagree and I'm going to go pout off like a child. Let's all be civil enough and mature enough to hear each other out because maybe we have good ideas or maybe we can help each other. Because after all, we do have to live here with each other. We are here with each other. There are some that want to stir the pot and agitate. I want to reveal some of that too, again, to take the power, quote unquote, away from it. And so maybe it will stop affecting people and stop working on people if you're here and kind enough to give me some of your time. I don't have a studio. I don't have an agent. I rarely show my face these days because the videos aren't about me. They are about God and Him reaching out to us because He loves us, and the bridge to Him is Jesus Christ. And even if you're not here for that purpose, then I hope that you're here enough because you realize that there's something wrong and that there are some of us who have noticed and have been talking about it for several years now. Several years, God. So anyways. You might not find that polished look here, but you will always find sincerity. And so even if you disagree with some of the Catholic doctrine, it does set your mind to the proper order. And what I mean by that is there is a hierarchy in life. I don't care if you want to say that's pantheology or, a whole different type of religion you're talking. It might be called something else in another culture, but it is what it is, right? There is one at the top who made us and then divided himself and made a family, basically. And like most families, we bicker and we have feuds and we have infighting, and that's how it is. But hopefully we'll all get through it. People are getting upset. They're calling it blasphemy. Let's be very clear. First of all, it's a painting they're imitating. Let's not fall into that type of idolatry. The painting, The Last Supper, was painted by Leonardo da Vinci, who many call an occultist. But again, he gave us a great clue. If you look at the painting, The Last Supper, we are given a very big clue about eating and why eating was the first sin and what Christ ate throughout his life. If you can find him in attendance at one feast in the Bible, please show it to me, because I can't find it. I haven't found it. He came for the celebrations, but I never found him in attendance at any of the feasts. Anyways, I'll continue, because that's a whole nother topic for another video. We've talked about it from time to time, though. So let's be clear. First of all, everybody's getting mad because of this painting that's being mocked. It's a painting, okay? It's not actually God. It's not actually the Catholic faith. It's a painting that some man painted a long time ago, okay? Number one, even though I love his art, he's my favorite artist. Next to Jesus, he's like the second or third person I'd like to meet in heaven. Meet as in for the first time. Because I just think he was brilliant. But it is still just a painting, first and foremost. Yes, it is a mockery of a sacrament of the gospel itself in imagery. Okay, so symbolically, we are looking at one image that sums up the entire gospel. It is the me for you. It is the sacrifice of myself for all of you, is what Christ is telling us there. And to treat others as you'd have them treat you. And he sat down eating with the one who he knew betrayed him. The lion sits down with the lamb. What was it changed to? The wolf and the lamb, or the lion and the wolf? I don't know. Did I turn comments on? Sorry if I did not. Oh, nobody's here. Well, that's okay. I don't mind. Hello. It is a little slow. I apologize for that. Again, it is a backup device, so please forgive. Okay, so again, I'm coming at this from a different angle. It is a painting. It is not God or Christ himself. It is not the Catholic religion himself or itself. It is still just a painting by a regular man. Brilliant man, but a man nonetheless. So let's get that off the board. Let's get our minds in the right order and remove that from the table. The second thing would be this Andrew Tate instigation again. This man keeps irritating me and coming out of the blue to interfere with Christian doctrine. Ask yourself why that is. Why is he instigating Christians or Catholics when he is a Muslim? Ask yourself that. Oh, wait. He's doing it like so many others to stir the pot. Some people are up here telling you they're Catholic and Christian, but they're not behaving like it. You just listen to them say that because you believe them. That's our biggest mistake here, is believing things just because people say it, believing it's true. Convicting somebody with our minds and hearts and words before we even know if they're actually guilty because someone else tells us they are, or because the media frames it in a certain way. The media is the first thing we should get rid of, completely and utterly. Well, we need to know the news. Do you? Do we really need to know all that? Do you read it, watch it, listen to it every single day? We don't need to know certain things because it's no good for our growth as living soul beings. It does not promote any type of spiritual growth. And in fact, most people today don't even recognize that they have a spirit, and the media is in big part to blame for that. So let's get our minds rightly ordered and get that off the table. We're not going to be angry. What are we supposed to do? We're not going to go out and start a holy war, or at least that's not what we should do. Most of us have seen Albert Pike's letter, the infamous alleged Freemason, again, because I don't believe everything that the computer spits out at me. So I try to say alleged or purported or reported. If you never saw that video, go way back. If you never saw the video about the peace sign and what it really means right now, go way back. I've talked about these things ad nauseum. But anyways, the Albert Pike letter says what they wanted to start is a holy war, race war, civil war. They really don't care. They don't care. Haven't you seen that yet? They're trying to get red against blue in the political arena. They're trying to get men against women in their own household and parent against child, actually child against parent, and they've greatly succeeded. Divide and conquer, right? They stopped us from gathering. Everybody stopped gathering completely and utterly. This is the goal, folks, and we're walking right to our own slaughter. And we really should stop that. So, where to start? I should have put up some pictures, but they don't. Do I have them? Hold, please. I'm going to pause this real quick just for a second. You won't even notice if you're watching the rebroadcast. Sorry about that. All right, so we're just going to do this because I did have some pictures pulled up, but I'm going to show you as we go along. So when I first said, and again, so we're setting aside the anger about it being idolatry or blasphemy for right now because number one, it is a painting, okay? It's a painting that a man painted a very long time ago. Yes, it is of the Last Supper. Yes, it's allegedly of our Lord and Savior. But we're going to set aside, again, trying to fall into their agenda for us and falling into some holy civil war here. Now, sadly, once you get something started, it's very hard to stop it, much like a train, right? I'm sure many of you have seen a movie where they try to stop the train, but it's moving, and so it takes forever to stop it. And by the time you get it stopped, there's already destruction in its wake. That's where we are headed because so many people are allowing themselves to be emotionally manipulated by this stuff. So right now, we're going to remove the anger. First of all, it's not blasphemy. Get your mind rightly ordered. It's not blasphemy itself because it's not actually God. It's a painting. It's not actually the sacrament of the Eucharist or the Last Supper itself. It's an image. Okay? So there, remove the emotional anger at it real quick. And let's look at what they're showing us, which is something we should always be looking at. All right? Now, I wanted to start here, but again, this is a backup device. So I want to show you something else real quickly. Now, we've went over this again ad nauseum about the peace sign and how it actually means war right now. And how in Brit to Brits, it actually means bugger off, F you. Now, we're going to go over all of this stuff. Man, I didn't want to have to do it this way, but I guess we will. So I want to show you a couple of stills of him real quick, of the blue man at the Olympics. We're not going to focus on the Last Supper right now because this is me doing my part. If we can show each other and reveal and expose the origin of these things and the root, right? Cut off the head of the snake, Not just a limb or two here or there of the branch, but the whole root of the weed, right? When you're weeding. First of all, here's his little peace sign. Does that mean bugger off or does it mean peace? Well, when they show you the thumbs, apparently it means bugger off. And he does a lot of hand signals. And let me just be very clear again, this is not normal. Most people don't walk around doing hand signals unless it is sign language, unless they are deaf. Most normal people don't just walk around doing these things. So if someone is doing these things around you, it's not the norm. And again, they deny to the end of time. They will never admit to what they're doing. You have to catch them at it, and you have to say loud and proud, I do not consent, because that's why they're showing it to you, is to gain your passive consent. So do you see he does the peace sign, he's doing the strange kind of salute, and then he does the fist in the air. And let me be clear about that too. The fist in the air is the old image for communism. So everybody, again, running around with this MAGA stuff, man, you're going to get exactly what you asked for. I'm not participating in any of it, and nobody can force me to do so. I'm just not doing it. And if that makes people not want to listen, not want to hang out with me, not want to be my friend, if you think I'm low-level intelligence because I don't vote, let me tell you, again, there's a reason people are behaving in the ways that they are. Okay, so we're going to go to the other thing that I thought of as soon as I saw the blue man was the blue horse at the Denver airport. So I just want to real quick show you a picture of what this looks like, because we are going to look at a link about this guy here. Lucifer, that's what they're calling him in this article anyways. But this guy is at the Denver airport. They put him in several years back. Why did they do that? Why would you do this? Again, they're showing you who they are and where you are. We are in Babylon. Okay, so we're going to do, what else went through my head when I saw that blue guy? Who's outside of CERN, guys? Shiva, right? The god of destruction, so that something new can be born. Shiva is outside of CERN with all of these different arms, right? What are all these arms for? Kind of reminds you of a spider, much like the Hopi prophecy as well. We're going to look at all of this. These are the first things that I thought of. All right? And then I realized a couple other things, but let's get there this way. This is when we research together so you guys can see how I get to certain places, okay? Now, there are a lot of gods and goddesses. Every god and goddess is like, when you have a pantheon, or again, God has a hierarchy, each of his angels has a specific principality and power that it reigns over, that is its dominion. And that's also where we get the word demon. So when we're looking at these little g goddesses and gods, these are God's angels, the most high gods, the Father God in heaven, the one who made us all, even if by proxy, the grand architect over us all. But much like a sergeant or general, he has a lot of people working underneath of him that do the jobs that he needs done, right? So each area has a different angel above it and a different power for that area, a different principality. So you'll find some that are attached to love, war, water, fire, red, yellow, and blue. Now, we've talked a lot about demonic eyes of real people that I've met with crystal clear blue eyes. Why blue? You wouldn't associate blue with demonic. Most people associate the black eyes. Well, I think that it is, how do I explain this? I think the blue is from an angel gene, when it's a certain blue, when it's like crystal, like it's almost mesmerizing, right? That is, I think it's a hybrid strand in the DNA, chromosome. And I think that's where these crystal clear blue eyes come from. I think that black can come into effect in true demons, demonic ways. And we got the black goo. We talk about that being related to the Egyptian methodology and all that as well. So consider all these things in the back of your mind as we go through a couple of the main gods and goddesses or demons with blue skin. And I'm looking at this and I'm seeing, do you see it? Do you see the Slender Man symbol again up there? It's also the Bayer symbol. It's also for most, it just says it's the pharmacy symbol as well when it's upright. It's the Slender Man thing, but it's also what? I think is it Tav? I might be wrong. We went over this when we looked at the Hebrew lots that I made. But it's also a Hebrew caricature, and that is one of the oldest that we can find. So that's interesting too. I just noticed that and wanted to point that out. And again, that's why we do this together. So you can kind of see like what comes up. So first I want to take you, this guy, allegedly, the blue man at the Olympics, was supposed to be Dionysus, okay? And we're going to have to, this is going to be a little bit of cross-referencing because, again, I am on my other device. What I can do, where did I set my other one? What I can do is, I want to look up a Bible verse too, so I'm going to be trying to work with both hands here. So just forgive me. So he is allegedly supposed to be the Greek god Dionysus. I find that very interesting. Why do I find that interesting? Well, let me tell you. First, I'm going to Google on this other device here the verse about wine. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. About not harming the wine, the grapes, the vineyards. Harming vineyards, wine in the end of days. End times. And I can cite the Revelation 6:6. Okay, so let's go to that real quick. Over here. Hold please, I'm pulling up my Bible app. Maybe. Now what does Revelation 6:6 say? Do not harm the oil and the wine. So this is in the end times, right? It says, and I heard what seemed to be a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, a quart of wheat for a denarius, which is a currency, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and wine. This is in the end days when the 4 angels are sent out to the 4 corners to gather God's elect, and you also have angels being sent out to bring death and famine through the way of the 4 horsemen, right? The horsemen, what are they? Horsemen are harbingers. They tell you what's coming. They are a harbinger of death, basically. So the horseman is telling you, this is what's coming. It's going to bring this, right? So in Revelation 6:6, it's telling the angels at a certain period of time, do no harm to the trees yet. And it gets real specific, but I'm not going to read all of Revelation right now. All you need to know in relation to this is when we go to Dionysus, remember what it says here about wine. Now, this is about famine, but it's also about how much things cost. It's about inflation, all right? And inflation, depression era logistics, we'll say, can create a famine. If you don't have money for the food, then you can't feed yourself. Well, back in the day, we didn't have to have money. We just went out and picked up an apple off a tree. Or we knew how to grow it, right? Grow it and harvest. Anyways, so Revelation 6:6. I heard what seemed to be a voice in the midst of the 4 living creatures saying, a quart of wheat for a denarius and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do no harm to the oil and the wine. This judgment is pictured as a rider on a black horse. Okay. During the famine that follows the war, food prices are inflated beyond all reason. A quart of wheat for a day's wages and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages. Okay. At the same time, the heavenly voice proclaims, do not damage the oil and the wine. So food staples are scarce, but other items that don't have very much nutrition are still available. But not only do they not have much nutrition, what is wine? Well, it's a luxury item these days, right? It's a way to not stay sober because we're told to stay sober, number one. So as I've said before, a lot of these things symbolize a variety of other things. And basically what you're looking at is this is how mesmerism, manipulation, and or spell work with words and images can work. They give you the pictures and the words, but in the absolute wrong context. So he is supposed to be Dionysus, who is a god of wine. But let's look at it real quick so you can see how Dionysus is described. And yes, this is Wikipedia. If you want to do further in-depth study, that's up to you. I do have a few links pulled that I think will get us or get you off to a good start if this is something you want to look into further. Okay, so this says not to be confused with Dionysius. Dionysus, and Dionysius. Okay. See Bacchus. Bacchus is also another name for him. And again, they like to hide behind all these different religions, all these different names, because you can't bind them. And it can be harder to receive deliverance from some of them if you don't know their true name. And we get into that in the consent videos. And I'm going to talk about, I have something else that I've been doing as far as meditation and like cloaking your thoughts. I know it gets a little woo here on this channel. We do go there to the fringe elements. But I'm going to do a short video on that. I might get into it here a little bit. So in ancient Greek religion and myth, Dionysus is the god of winemaking, orchards, and fruit, vegetation, fertility, festivity, insanity. Isn't that interesting? All this talk we're seeing of like Gotham City and Arkham Asylum and all the YouTubers doing these videos about asylums. And I said, watch out for that. That's where they're going to try and put the houseless, whether you need it or not. And if you just happen to be houseless, newly houseless because of your religion, well, then that's going to be a problem. Sometimes they will come to your house and get you if they believe you are a threat. Do you know your family? Do you trust your family? Be very careful. Do not allow yourselves to be baited, Christians, by these YouTubers telling you that you need to do something. What you need to do is pray. What you need to do is turn the other cheek and not be emotionally manipulated. And allowing the pot to be stirred, allowing yourself to be caught up in all that. We are not to be fighters. Christ would not have had an AK, whatever it is. He would not have had weapons. He told them to stand down. Well, Christ comes with a sword. The sword is his tongue. And yes, I'm tired of explaining parables because, again, very clearly, the Bible tells us about who does not understand parables. It's not just unsaved. They are the children of the fallen ones. They don't understand parables. They don't understand analogies. They don't get them at all. Everything's pretty literal to them. Sarcasm itself is almost lost on them. But sarcasm is against God, so they've gotten pretty good at that too. Anyways, let's continue. He's also known as Bacchus by the Greeks. For a frenzy, he is said to induce called Bacchia. Hold, please. Okay, so insanity, ritual madness. What is ritual madness? That's special. Hey, how are you? Nice to have you here. I'm glad to see you. I hope you don't leave because of my, you made a comment the other day, but I addressed it actually in this video. I didn't call you out by name. I was just responding to something, and it's not bad. I just wanted to let you know I I did touch base on that before I started the video. And I'm glad you're here, and I hope you stay. So he's also the god of insanity, which again is very interesting considering all the Batman verbiage that's being used for their little code names. Ritual madness. What is ritual madness? Well, much like the one plague we saw in the 1500s in Europe about the dancing, they couldn't stop dancing. That's why they had the TikTok dances happening. Religious ecstasy and theater. He loves his shows. Dionysus. They all sound satanic, don't they? But I guess if they followed Lucifer during his fall, they would sound that way. But again, we have to be very careful to still show these beings respect. We don't know who actually fell. We don't know what kind of misinformation we're purposely receiving because maybe they want to get us in a place where we are willfully ignorant and somehow we offend God or one of his loyal angels because of the use of names. Again, these beings taught us. So we have to be very careful. This is why we should not allow ourselves to be stirred up into the type of anger that requires us to go marching down the streets. At least not yet, not at this point. Do not allow the images on the screens to induce you into a state of madness with your fellow man, the real person who is beside you or living with you, right? So I'll continue. Dionysus Eleutherius is also known as the Liberator. Now, I'm going to touch base again. It seems like everything I loved and everything that is a part of me is being attacked right now. My dad was French. My grandpa really legit came over on the boat. My dad's name means king. My dad had a scar on his side like Christ had. My dad died when I was 33, in 2012. Like these personal, and people tell me, don't take it personal. Hey, if I'm still here and I'm not being emotionally whipped into a frenzy, anybody can do it. I promise you. I promise you. Well, we got to stand up. This is my effort by exposing these things for what they really are, touching on things that maybe other people are afraid to touch on, saying things that nobody else will say because they have too much to lose. I am to the point where I really don't have anything material that can be taken from me. The last few things, if you want to take them and God allows you, it's not going to really affect me still. I'm doing this as an act of love, in an act of penance and repentance, because I love my family, because I love my God who gave me my family, and because I love you. I don't know you, but I love you because that's just how he made me. So this is my effort. Don't allow yourself to be caught up into a frenzy. But everything I love is being attacked. My dad is French, and I'm going to speak on the French aspect of things, and I'm going to hopefully appeal to other French people, French Americans, whatever you want to call us in America. I don't really know anymore. But anyways, I will do a face-to-face video for that, and I will plan it out a little bit, and it's not going to be over like 9 or 10 minutes, but there are just a few things that I think need said. Again, you've got these Andrew Tate types who have way too much testosterone, and I'm sure that offends somebody who will stop watching the video now because, like him, people are too close-minded to hear anyone else's perspective, and the only thing they can do is talk louder than you and run around shirtless, smoking guitars, shaving their heads. And I love men, and I love women, and I love children. But at the same time, as a parent, most of you will be able to relate. I can love my children and still strongly disagree with their behavior and, in fact, come against their misbehaviors. And somebody has to tell people, look, you're acting like children. Politics is a joke now. It looks like WWE. The rest of the world is laughing at us, but not for the reasons that they would have you think. We need to calm down and quit following. Now everybody's following YouTubers like they are media personalities. And that, for all intents and purposes, that's what they've become. You have to understand, too, that a lot of this to them is business and money. If they can ruin their opposition, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox, Candace Owens, Matt Walsh, Kennedy, if they can get people to stop watching their competition, then that's more viewers and a higher ratings and more paychecks for them. So please understand, most of what you're hearing is not true from the media. They might give you the proper pictures, they might even give you the proper words, but it's all mixed up. So he whips people up into a frenzy. That's wonderful. He fits right into this Batman stuff. His wine, music, and ecstatic dance. Free his ecstatic dance. Keep that in the back of your minds, because we're going to connect this to everybody's favorite demon outside of CERN, Shiva. Did you know Shiva is also blue? Imagine that. What did I used to love watching as a child? Little blue beings that ran around causing mischief and lived in psychedelic mushrooms. I mean, and the cat named Azrael, which is the name of a fallen one. It goes on and on and on. They raised us steeped in this garbage. And yeah, I'm kind of mad about that. But again, I seek to do no harm. Okay, free his followers from self-conscious fear and care. Let's be clear here. Certain things that God's hierarchy does are good. We are the ones who have kind of become disordered by worshiping them. Should we respect nature and the elements of nature? Yes. Well, these beings are what controls those elements at the behest of God, the maker of everything and everyone. But respect is not the same as worship. We're not supposed to worship these beings. And in doing so, we made them fall too, because they were like, wow, I really like this being worship thing. I'm going to go down there and hang out with them because they think I'm God. And this will be better for me because down there I'm God. And up there, I serve God, right? You see how that can get tempting? But look where you're at. You're still in a lower vibration and in a lower dimension. And everyone you're with, nobody's going to be on your level intellectually. You won't be able to have a decent relationship with anybody. Sure, you're God, though. Do you see how all of this can become perverted thinking? How it can really cause perversion in your thinking? Okay? So again, respect is not the same as worship. Respect the elements in nature and the ones who control them. Do not go worshiping them. Right? If you pray to God for something, he can tell which angel, okay, this is, hey, Jen asked for rain again. Jen asked for rain again. Angel of the East, I don't know who actually controls it. You go give her some rain down there in the Northeast Ohio, okay? Okay, good. She was good to us yesterday. You know, she talked to us. We got a relationship going. Go give her a little rain. But that's God telling his generals where to go. We're not supposed to do that. Now, people, I'm not going to get into the whole Catholic thing about praying to angels and saints right now. I believe that can go either way, depending on how you interpret the Bible. I don't think we're praying to dead beings. I think some of the saints are actually still here walking with us, and I believe that is biblical, what I'm saying to you. It's not fringe sci-fi theater theory of my own. That is biblical, what I just said. So again, if you're going to come at me, you've got to be very, very good with words, and you really have to understand what you read, because I do. Now, when I want to know something techie, I go to one of my tech friends, or I send you guys to them, because that's not my realm. It kind of is, but I know the fundamentals. I know just enough to make me able to protect myself in certain areas. Okay, so sometimes he's got IV dripping with honey. He has a scepter, okay? He's both beneficent. Oh, it's a beneficent wand and a weapon used to destroy those who oppose his cult and the freedoms he represents. Those who partake of his mysteries are believed to become possessed and empowered by the God himself. So, again, would you call that legion? Would this be like those NPCs when we talk to somebody and they're all saying the same thing? You see how they're all related? it all comes from the same religion. It doesn't matter how they dress it up in what culture, because you can see Hinduism is in India, right? You have mostly Indians who are Hindus. I'm having a hard time seeing what you're writing. Oh, hi. Hi. Hello. And if you do appreciate the content and understand the verbiage that I use, the terminology, I'd appreciate the thumbs up. Doesn't do anything for the channel. It will never be monetized. It's just something that helps me out. So, looking at this, keeping certain things in mind, does he remind you of anyone in the fallen angel category? Right there, he's being described basically as Legion. He's the god of wine, vegetation, fertility, festivity, ritual madness, religious ecstasy, and theater. And funny how a lot of these things go together. You grow the grapes that create the wine. They have to be fertile for them to multiply. The wine can cause ritual madness if everyone's getting drunk at the same time in one situation altogether, and even cause people to think they're in some type of religious ecstasy. And theater and manipulations also work better on people who have been dipping in the sauce. But do you see how it's a slippery slope? One thing leads to another. And look at that. It looks like she might be androgynous, which, again, angels allegedly could be either gender when they were in flesh form. I apologize. This is a backup device. So if I try to go back and see what you said so that I can read it, I won't be able to. It'll take forever to get back here. So please forgive me. Animals that are related to Dionysus are bull, panther, tiger, lion, goat, and a snake. Okay. He also has been depicted as holding a scepter, where he looks a lot like Neptune, and we're going to get to that in a second. His symbols are ivy, theatrical masks, a phallus. Look at that. Much like you see all over in Egypt. Okay? Grapevine and ivy. The festivals are Bacchanalia, which is Roman, and Dionysia. His parents are Zeus and Semele, or Zeus and Persephone. Silenus is a foster parent. His contort is Ariadne. We might look at her real quick just because we already know that Elon Musk is Bruce Wayne or Batman. So who's going to play Batgirl in the theater production they're running? I'm just curious. He is the Egyptian equivalent to Osiris. So there we go. They're straight out, flat out telling us, okay? So now let's go, and we're going to look at, let's see, this one. Oh, not that one. I'm sorry, but we will get to that one in a second. That's his GreekMythology.com. I just wanted you to see him in all his Greek masculinity, his Greek godliness. Ugh. Anyway, it's neat artwork. I do, humans should not deprive themselves of beauty. God gave us eyes and material here for a reason and with a purpose. But excess is not a good thing. So it says he was considered later as a patron of the arts as well. He created wine and spread the art of viticulture. He had a dual nature. On one hand, he brought joy and divine ecstasy, or he would bring brutal and blinding rage, thus reflecting the dual nature of wine. Dionysus and his followers could not be bound by fetters. Wow. And okay, so this tells you his story and where he comes from. And infidelity, the fact that Dionysus was alive arranged for the Titans to kill him. Oh, so the Titans were going to go after him. That's wild. Okay, so they got married and had a good marriage. That's cool. All right, so let's go. I want to look at something else over here real quick. Let's go to his lady, because I want to see what her other name is. Ariadne. She is from Crete. She escaped the Minotaur. Oh, Ariadne asleep at Hypno's side. Hypnosis. That's interesting. What are other names for her? Her equivalent is Ariana and Libera. So Libra probably is her. She's associated with mazes and labyrinths, so her equivalent gang is Hecate. Hecate is the consort. That's her equivalent. Now, what is the Hecate, though? If this is the Roman equivalent, what is Hecate the goddess of? She keeps coming up over and over and over again, that Hecate one. Okay. So I found this. This was one of the first things I found, and I just wanted to go over it real quick. It's from 2015. It's just something real quick that I thought was interesting. It says, last week, my students and I were discussing the blue demons that are found in some Etruscan, if I mispronounce this, please forgive me, Etruscan tombs. They're pre-Celtics or Celtics. They're before them. We were exploring two different reasons which might explain why these demons have blue skin. One theory is that the blue skin is a depiction of rotting human flesh. These demons are embodiments of death. A different yet also related theory is that the blue color relates to the skin discoloration, which occurs when someone is bit by a deadly poisonous snake, specifically an adder, which is interesting because Dionysus was blue at the Olympics, okay? And this is where all this flows from. So again, these rabbit holes can get a little deep. So we have to remember that's why we came here originally, was the blue guy in the Olympics. Why was Dionysus blue? And so we're looking into that. Now, these are called, if I'm not mistaken, these are called Oni, and they're Japanese demons. Or no, Etruscan is pre-Celtic. That might be Irish, might be pre-Irish, before they were even over there. But I know the Oni come up as well. Oh, look what's around his arms. That's a kraken, guys. That's an octopus tail. Is he about to whip an octopus, or is he being restrained by an octopus in the pit? Wow, that's interesting. And I mean that seriously. I'm not being sarcastic. Okay, anyways. During this discussion, two different students mentioned that the blue skin reminded them of demons and religious figures found in other cultures. I never thought too deeply about how blue skin appears in different cultures across the world, where I just showed you, and I'm going to show you again. Krishna, Shiva, they are both blue-skinned. And actually, many Hindu deities are, and we're going to go to that next after we go here. The ones in Japan are called the Oni, okay? They also have blue skin. And look at the belly. Look at that protruding stomach, which would signify gluttony, one of the 7 deadly sins. I never thought too deeply about how blue skin appears in different cultures across the world, and thought I'd make a little compilation of a few noteworthy examples. So these are the Oni, and they are found in Japan. These are in Etruscan caves, pre-Celtic times. And it looks like he's being restrained by a kraken. So if the kraken gets free, is he no longer restrained? Because the book for us ends there. It says that God will restrain the fallen ones in the pit until the time or the day of great judgment. Well, how long is a day for God? And a day is different for God than it is for us. See, all this gets a little complicated. And if you don't have your eyes open, it can be very hard to see. And that's another thing. For somebody to want to make it look like it's Armageddon or look like it's the end of the world, they can do that, but they're only going to be able to do that on a material level. There's so many things that are supposed to happen that simply aren't going to be able to be pulled off by man or demons, as it were. A little juice of the nectar of the gods there for me. No, not wine, orange juice. And when I say things like that, I'm very clearly meaning it in jest, and little g gods, if I say that, I mean that. We have to like stop. We got bigger fish to fry. There are more important things. We all have a common enemy. So the blue skin thing is interesting if it's supposed to embody like some type of rotting flesh. And again, we're seeing a cross culture, right? It knows no bounds. We're seeing it in Japan. We're seeing it in the coast of Ireland, I guess that would be if it's Etruscan. I think that's how you say that. And I actually listened to a band that's called Etruscan, I don't know. Anyways, I'll continue. The Oni is an ogre or troll, that guy right there, and it is a common figure in Japanese folklore. Trolls also were baby eaters way back when Grimm's fairy tales were actually grim and not for children. Um, they eat children. I mean, they are for children, right? We say now age appropriate. Well, back in the day, our parents weren't afraid of scaring us because it put the fear of God in us. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do that because that sounds really, really bad, right? We've gotten so, I don't know, I feel like our humanity is what's being cleansed from us, and it's not supposed to be that way. Anyways, I'm going to try not to get philosophical. They have distinct, and I love when you guys chat, and I love when you talk in the comments. So by all means, talk to each other, chat to each other. There are a lot of really bright people who watch the channel. I don't know how I got so blessed, but I do have a very diverse group of people here, which means some know about computers, some know about high tech, some know about frequencies and vibrations and EMFs. Some are really good with the weather, some are really good with puzzles. So some are planters and harvesters. So you can really learn a lot just by getting to know people in the comment section. And if that's how we have to do it for now, until people, gather and have this exodus we're supposed to have, that's how we have to do it. But don't be afraid to talk. Don't ever let anyone make you afraid to speak, right? Like, that's what they want. Why do you think there's all these scary movies out about not talking? They don't want us to use our voices. I had several people approach me about doing a vow of silence, like trying to manipulate me into making some vow to God to not speak. Could you imagine me doing that? God, I would not have, that would not have went well for me. Because this is what God asked me to do. They have long horns, which make them look beastly and human. Onis most commonly appear with blue, red, or green skin, and they are often clad in tiger skin. One particular representation of the Oni that I like is from the 18th century, shown above, is a painting by Soga Shohaku. Here, an Oni is used to depict a demon from the Seisen Doji tale. So there it is. And thinking about the various colors which can be used for the Oni skin, I wonder if color is supposed to suggest that the figure is inhuman. From what I can tell, the color of the skin doesn't matter, since red, blue, and green are all used. I would not say that. I think it does matter. But we'll get to that in a second. But all of the colors are very different from how human skin actually appears. To me, the blue skin of the Oni suggests that the figure is otherworldly, which by extension makes the figure seem more threatening. The creators of the film Avatar used blue skin for the same reason. They played with modern associations regarding skin color and race to make sure that moviegoers could perceive these figures not only as aliens but as others. Could be a simple association with water as well. Water, when reflected, looks blue. Water is actually clear. It doesn't have a color. It reflects whatever color is in it. So, yeah. Anyways, and it reflects the color of the sky because the sky is blue. In some cases, though, the color blue has much more significance than to draw a visual distinction of difference between the figure in question and a human audience. And this is why I encourage people, don't just listen to YouTubers who tell you what signs and symbols mean. Go learn it yourself. Go look it up. And even if you can't quite discern everything, eventually you'll be able to. Not to use your special, it would be a travesty to not use your special gift given you by the good Lord. Absolutely, we all need to, right? And yes, God said Christ said a two-edged sword. He didn't mean, though, a literal sword. The sword is our tongue. That is the sword of the Spirit, is our tongue, right? Amen. 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 Anyways, start to learn what symbology actually is. If you look at enough paintings yourself and enough artwork from across the globe, not the globe, whatever you call it, from across the realm, from across the ages, you'll see certain things start to take form that are patterns. And then you'll start to see yourself what different things represent. But don't let YouTubers, they want you to fear, right? So what do? They're going to turn around and make everything appear evil. And again, I'm going to be very, very clear. The last thing we should be doing in this time is degrading Christ's mother. We should not be degrading the Messiah's mother, okay? Regardless of what you think of the men in the institution of the Catholic Church, the last thing we should be doing is degrading his mother or our own mothers. Scripture tells us the one who does not honor his mother and father ends up cursed. We need to be very careful. We're setting an example for this younger generation. And again, like the witch trials, they have a right to be mad, and they're mad at us, Generation X, when we inherited the problem too. We all did. Nobody told us. These are things they make us learn on our own. So by all means, don't let anyone else, even me, frame a story for you. You go out, you do the legwork, you figure out what the symbology means on your own, so you don't have to trust somebody else telling you, because they're going to help you perceive everything through an evil eye, through an eye coated in darkness. That's not a good verse. When we're told that in Scripture, all these people using that, even Alex Jones, that's not good. That's not a good verse. We're not supposed to see everything through an eye darkly. That is evil. That's wicked. The way you perceive things can be wicked as well. Looking at everyone you see because they hold their child's hand or their daughter's hand and calling them a child harmer, if your mind is always going there, there is something wrong. At the same time, we do need to be aware of such problems and protective of any child that is around us in our family or in our vicinity, right? There is a line here of balance that we're supposed to maintain. Okay, anyways. Now, Hindu art in which more than one blue skin figure appears, perhaps the most common figure who appears with blue skin is Vishnu, who can also appear with blue skin as Krishna, considered by many to be an avatar of Vishnu. Some claim that the blue skin is the religious context has positive connotations, suggesting the sky and the limitlessness of the sky and universe. Blue also references life and the forces of life, since bodies of water can appear blue. Finally, others assert that the color blue in Hinduism is used to describe manliness, bravery, a stable mind, and a depth of character. How curious that the color blue can suggest a depth of character in Hinduism, whereas the blue color in Japanese folklore seems to suggest an inhuman creature. And I would almost disagree with that. I don't know if they're lying there or what, but we just saw that blue is associated with Dionysus, who is also the same thing as Krishna, and they are both in charge of or over the dominion of insanity and ritual madness. So there's an inconsistency. Again, be discerning when you're researching as well. This is also what we try to encourage here. I don't know why I say we, it's just me, but we really means you, because I want this to be more your channel. This is about all of us sharing the lessons that we're learning in this time. It's what I was asked to do, and it's what I hope others will eventually do. So we see again that symbol that is the same as Slender Man, that is the same as the Hebrew letter, and it goes on and on. So what else did I want to show you? Let's go back here and see real quick if it wants to. Yeah, real quick. I don't know why it's like that. Demons is what that's supposed to say. Now, we've talked about these icy blue eyes being somewhat demonic, and I personally think they are a chromosome indicative of a hybrid. Now, that's why I consider them to be angelic but demonic at the same time, because it's what was produced by the fallen. Now, is it every blue-eyed person? No. And do I think that they're all evil and wicked? No, absolutely not. That's not what we're told in Scripture. All who call upon the Lord, all. And we're not supposed to argue about bloodlines. I'm simply telling you there are physical characteristics and manifestations in this world that are occurring because of what is happening in the spirit. And if you know how to defragment them, if you know how to interpret the symbolism that they're showing you, you can navigate these choppy waters of the end days a little better than you would have otherwise. It's a labor of love. That's why I do this. But I'm reading a book now called The Angel Scrolls. Now, The Angel Scrolls is controversial. It does relate. Just give me a second to go off the side here for a second. The Angel Scrolls were allegedly found in Qumran, in the same cave with the Lost Sea Scrolls. Allegedly, there are scrolls of power, they're called. I find that word interesting because we're told powers and principalities are what the angels and the fallen ones represent. Anyways, these angel scrolls have the actual seal or sigil of the angel, which is another way to bind a demon, is if you know its sigil. You don't always have to know its name, but if you know its sigil, and a lot of them these days have them tattooed on them. You didn't hear that from me, though. You can also rebuke them that way as well, in very powerful ways. I'm not saying the blood of Jesus isn't enough. I'm saying if your faith isn't strong enough to simply rebuke with words, you can also use sigils. I'm not promoting demonology or anything like that. I'm saying if you know the sigil of a fallen one and you do a certain thing with it, you can banish it from your home if you need to. And these are things we need to learn, because the priests aren't doing what priests should be doing. And the pastors aren't doing what the pastors should be doing. And they're just not doing what they should be doing because most of them have been bought off by these fallen ones, and they have had they've got stars in their eyes, man. They're seeing the money signs. It's payday for them. And so they're turning the other way and looking the other way. And it's sad to say, and it's just the truth, though. I'm going to always make an effort at least to tell you the truth. So a lot of this information you need to know. We're going to get to, well, only because I mentioned the eye color. Some of these people that have messed with me that I don't think are just regular, a lot of them have these shiny, icy blue eyes. However, I'm reading a book now that talks about how the fallen ones, the evil fallen ones, not just simply the watchers, but the wicked fallen ones, how they have red eyes. And let's touch base on that real quick. Because this is the other thing I thought. I was looking at and again, I don't watch the Olympics anymore. I don't have cable. I will not pay for that garbage. I don't pay for music anymore. It's garbage. I'm not going to pay and work, right? Pretty much like a slave and earn these pieces of paper. I'm not going to spend that on my own corruption anymore. As little as possible anyways. And I wouldn't suggest that you do the same. But I was thinking, I saw the blue man, right? Because, and again, I want you to know, I didn't watch videos on this. I did not watch them. But I knew that blue color meant something. I'm like, they could have just done that with the dude wrapped up. It actually promotes cannibalism in a way to me. That's what I noticed that nobody else seemed to notice, was the cannibalistic materialism. So it wasn't, was it blasphemy? Kind of. But they want Christians to get mad, and they're saying we were being mocked. It was a painting they were mocking. So honestly, I'm not trying to say it doesn't bother me, right? But we don't always have to freak out about everything. And the fact that they're trying to push you to have some type of physical reaction, the more you should be suspicious of that and kind of hang back and just be observant. If they want you to act, don't. If they want you to be quiet, speak. If they want you to stand, sit. Now, this ain't going to work forever, ever, because they know that's what we're doing. But they don't have another plan in effect. That's why so many targeted individuals have the same story, because they're using the same story on so many people, because they literally can't create. That's why they use us. They couldn't have children. They had to have human women to have children. They couldn't just make them without us. Right? Now they're trying to get permission to inseminate comatose women. They don't want any part of the woman or the female left. They want us eradicated. Simply because of Eve and Mary. And yes, Eve too. Open your eyes, gang. Protect the women in your family. Protect yourself, ladies. Not to the point of being baited into some type of physical reaction. And remember, everything is being filmed now, so be very careful. And do I agree? No, I do not consent to my face or voice being used by anyone else other than the Most High God that made me, the one, the Creator, Maker, Father in heaven, Almighty God. And that God isn't going to allow some of the stuff that people think he's going to allow. The weird but true story. So I was wondering, I'm like, why are these people obsessed with this blue skin? What is the deal with the blue skin? We've got the blue horse. We've got the Smurfs. We've got Avatar. We've got, oh gosh, Krishna. And what's the other name? We just said it. Vishnu. And even the one that everybody loves outside of CERN. Because that's the same one. But we'll look at that in a second. So, this is the colossal demon-eyed horse statue staring into your very soul as you make your descent. Here are some answers. So these are just basics, but the Denver airport is a profoundly cursed airport built in 1995. Wow, that's the year I got with my spouse. To the tune of $4.8 billion. Since its creation, it's gained a reputation among flyers as the air travel equivalent of a blood-soaked Precious Moments figurine. Atlanta's airport is busy, and Chicago's is messy, and New York's is fragrant. But Denver's is a nightmarish vision, from the ghoulish murals, which most of us know about now, to the rumors of secret subterranean catacombs deep beneath it. The airport has become the focus of several elaborate... And see how I knew right there? My eyes knew that they weren't trying to say locust, they were trying to say focus. That simple bit of discernment would help so many people if they just started reading or just digging into these things just a little bit. The airport even participates in its own cult status. Its own cult status. It has installed talking gargoyles, helpful infographics about the necessity of renovating the lizard people's lair, and an Illuminati snake, not shake, snake at the airport's branch of Little Man Ice Cream. It's made of vanilla ice cream absinthe. I can't. But in the cornucopia of madness, one equine shape towers above the rest, and the world knows it by the name Blucifer. Oh, isn't that funny? Blucifer is a 32-foot tall, 4.5-ton statue of a blue Mustang with flaming coal red eyes. Has an expression straight out of herein. I can say it, and I can't right now. Hieronymus. Bosch painting. The cobalt abomination is the first thing flyers see while making their descent into the Denver airport, and it sets the tone beautifully. Welcome to Denver. Here's Satan's horse. Why is he here? Why is anything here? Enjoy the airport, snack shop, and try to ignore how veiny this horse is. Yeah, I don't understand that either. It's weird. Okay, so Blucifer's Christian name is technically Blue Mustang, a name used by nobody and certainly not by the artist who named it. Luis Jimenez, the sculptor and artist who designed and created Blucifer, was tragically killed in 2006 after an enormous section of the sculpture fell and crushed his leg, severing an artery. Talk about bleeding for your art. This is weird too to me. All the blood that seems to be on film and in art, it's like for something to be noticed and make a lot of money or have notoriety or have power over people, there has to be, as usual, an exchange of blood. And this guy, it was actually himself. Okay, that's great. It was probably nicknamed Blucifer by locals, all of whom were correct. Blucifer was meant to commemorate America's westward ambition and free-roaming spirit and weird obsession with horses. Okay. Okay, a mythical blue Mustang. I guess there's a legend that goes along with this, who was really good at finding food. Sammy's snoring, please ignore him. And grass, and ran so fast that it could practically fly. A 5-ton killer horse with the power of flight is the correct answer to the question. What animal would a cruel, omnipotent toddler create to eat his parents for not buying him the right light up shoes? The eyes that burn in the night and follow you as you fly in and out of Denver are fire engine red neon, in tribute to his Jimenez's father, who owned a neon sign workshop. We need to count our blessings that is Lucifer's eyes that feature the use of the screaming red neon. I cannot adequately describe the vascular, Lovecraftian nightmare that is Lucifer's unholy undercarriage. Lucifer's horse. Oh my gosh. You can read what it says there. They're getting a little graphic. Why are the veins like that? Does it need to be so much? Oh, that's gross. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to have to take a quick look and see what's up with him. Oh. Yes, sadly blood is currency used for rituals. Yep. Yep. Okay, I really want to I'll just show you guys like the basics if I can make this bigger. They're talking about his, boy bits. And yeah, I'm not looking at that just from the picture though. I thought when I pulled this up, I was like, man, somebody drew with red pen on him. I want to find a good representation. But that's him. He has all those red veins and like his ribs are showing like that. And it's just really strange. Most artwork you want it to be, I don't know. I never understand darker artwork like that. And I don't mean like krakens and stuff. I'm talking about straight like things like that that are strange. So can I, you don't want me to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Um, what if it's not a statue? Or what if it won't always be a statue? What if the creepy pasta story that they talk about all these different monuments in America, what if they are quite literally Trojan horses and there is something inside of them, but it's not more people? What if it's like an actual spirit? What if, like, why else would it need veins? Seriously? Why else would it need veins? And I know they say he died by when they were putting it together, and I'm sure there's images somewhere of this thing being put together. I'm not denying that either. I'm saying there's a lot of oddities with these alleged statues that are very, very lifelike, and that would be very, very hard to imitate no matter what type of artist you are or how good you are. There's another channel that focuses on just that, and he believes that some of the fallen ones who didn't escape into the water when the flood happened, he believes that they were actually turned into the Greek statues we all see and love, like David and all that. He actually, like, he believes that. I had many dreams about that line in Vegas. Right. Like, I'm not saying it's demons, but it's kind of demons. Like an artist couldn't, like, you could not do this unless you're actually working with something that was semi-translucent, like skin or flesh. You couldn't do it with just a brush. And do you see what I'm saying? Like actual veins like that, like it couldn't be done. And it's weird how nobody's allowed up in the Statue of Liberty anymore. Like, that's weird. They call it a Mandela effect, but again, they're using some of these things to hide it. A lot of this that we're dealing with is damage control. They're trying to hide something, and I told you for a long time something was going on with the Giants. I told you before most other people with the original channel. Why do you think they hounded me mercilessly until I nuked the other channel? Like, seriously, guys. I had maybe 2,000 subscribers. After 4 years, this stuff is a threat to them because they don't want you to know these things. But anyway, let's carry on. I just thought of somebody else who's blue, and I totally lost the thought when I clicked on that. Who else is blue? And what's the one outside of CERN? Why am I forgetting its name? Shavi? Oh, gosh, why can't I remember? Okay, so we know that the ones in Japan are called Oni. I want to go to images real quick and show you something I found. Again, I can't go to the album right now. It won't let me. So I'm going to go to Fiddle DD. Shiva. Thank you. Let's do Hindu real quick because I want to show you a specific chart. Okay, so there's Shiva, right? Tongue sticking out, all the arms. I've even taken selfies like that back in the day when I was an influencer before I was gratefully canceled by myself and others. But I've already confessed and done all that. Check that out. You'll have to see my testimony videos. Okay, so basically, Shiva is the one outside of CERN, right? Shiva is the god of destruction, which also allows for fresh beginnings to occur, right? So we know that. But I wanted to see, was that chart? There it is. Again, this is an older device I'm using. Thank you guys for being here and thank you for your patience. The blur doesn't last. Just give it a second to focus. All right, now. So, main Hindu gods and goddesses, and this actually says the Trimurti Hindu Trinity. Brahma, the creator. Vehicle is the swan, meaning the avatar, the symbol is the swan, has 4 heads, 4 arms, and a reddish complexion. That is awfully reminiscent. What else? What does Revelation say? 7 horns and 10 crowns. And it's also interesting to note that seraphim have 4 faces. One of a bull, one of a lion, one I think of a lamb, and the other of a man or angel. I forget exactly, but it goes something like that. Okay, so this one has 4 heads, 4 arms, and a reddish complexion. This one is red. Vishnu, the preserver. The vehicle for it is a bird. It has 4 arms, a bluish complexion, and rests on a snake. It was incarnated as an animal or human 9 times, with 1 more still to come. It is the main god of Vaishnavism. Wow. Shiva has matted hair, a 3rd eye, a blue throat, and a trident in his hand. He is the destroyer or transformer. Okay, now I think this one is also pink. Wife of Brahma, White Lotus playing Arena. Okay, so these are that one. Now the other one I wanted to show you. Hold please. I can find it. Does that show their skin? They have several blue-skinned god/goddesses in Hinduism. It's not just 1 or 2. There's a bunch of them. And there's horses. That one sits on horses, which is interesting. So we've got 1, 2 depicted there, but in this one, we have Shiva is blue, Rama is blue, Kai is blue. I had somebody messaging me named Kai, or is it Kali? Let me let it get unblurred. Will it get unblurred? Vishnu. So Vishnu, Rama, Shiva, and Kali or Kai, whatever one that is, they are all blue. And yeah, that one with the elephant too. I knew it was blue. Oh, wow, there's a giant one. So we've got a lot of, and there's the Shiva that's outside of CERN, who is also blue. So, I guess that's where the blue color comes from, I would say, is Shiva the Destroyer, more than I would say any other. But let's continue and see if there's anything else on the surface of this that we can glean. I'd really like to know where the orange hair is coming from and why that's so prevalent. With the Batman pew pew guy in the theater years ago, now in all the movies and videos and channels you see, what is with the orange hair? The only one I can relate it to is Batman or the person in the royal family. And again, this is me sorting out what is symbolically being manifested in the physical. This has nothing to do with me hating anyone because I don't hate anyone. Oh, wow, this is one direct from them, so let's see what they say real quick before we wind this one up. Kali sticks her tongue out and is the murderer of her lover, Kali. Thank you for that. Do that stuff in selfies. Now I feel just terrible about all of it. The azure is the blue color. Lords, the azure lords, the significance of blue in Hindu deity imagery. In Hindu beliefs, the color blue is very important when it comes to their gods. For example, Lord Krishna is often shown with skin the color of a clear sky or deep sea, which helps to show his calming and infinite nature. Lord Shiva has a blue neck because of a story where he drank poison to save the universe, which shows his protective power. Lord Vishnu is also depicted in blue, which reminds people that he has looked after the world. These colors aren't just for looks, they help tell the story of these gods and show what they stand for. And again, I can understand that and get down. I understand we're all raised in different cultures under different things. But to me, they represent the untouchable, the angels and the fallen angels. Again, I'm not trying to like put down anybody's great light. Oh, great light. And again, we respect nature, right? We respect the ocean. We know not to go too far out into the ocean or the riptide will pull us out there. We should be the same way with God's army, right, of beings below him. We should be respectful. We don't have to worship them or bow down to angels, but we shouldn't be worshiping them either or degrading them, right? There's a line here that shouldn't be crossed. Okay, so let's see. The color blue links back to the idea of being connected to something bigger like the universe itself. By looking at why blue is used so much, we can learn about the values and ideas that are part of Hindu culture. In short, the blue color in Hindu gods is not just a choice of paint, it's a way to show what these gods mean and how they fit into the larger picture of the universe. Shades of divinity. Let's see. Like the idea that God is everywhere and endless, we see blue in gods such as Vishnu, Krishna, and Shiva. It's like how the sky has no limits, how the ocean is so huge. Blue shows us that about the gods. When the gods are shown with blue skin, it's to help followers think about God in a bigger way beyond what we can see or imagine. Krishna is the blue-skinned shepherd. Okay, so he's like the sky. Shiva, the blue-throated protector. So it gets into that a little deeper. And again, I'm not trying to go too far into some of this stuff. What'd you do that for? Oops, wrong. That's why I did that. Oh. I'm really interested in that horse now too, about that guy. I didn't know he died when they were putting that horse there. That's wild to me. So let's go do one more thing. Let's go straight to demons, and let's just see if there's anything there. Okay, so the Blue Demon Tomb was discovered in 1985, and that's the Arudasan one that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, Arudasan Underworld. Red-haired demons, but here the blue one sits on a rock. Okay, so red-haired demons. Is that why it's everywhere? Is some, and I'm not saying every redheaded person is demonic. Please don't misunderstand. I'm saying, like, are we seeing certain demonic influences everywhere right now? Oni, that's Japanese. We know that. Oh, wow. The blue demon is actually the name of somebody in Toriko Wiki fandom. So, Toriko, whatever that is. Okay, so demons are not real. Red demon, blue demon. And we also have what? The red and the blue. Jeez, Jen, I read too much. The red and the blue kachinas and the Hopi prophecy. And we talked about the Hopi prophecy in relation to I Pet Goat 2 with all the masks and the Hopi dances that they were doing around the fires. And the one eye symbolism in I Pet Goat 2. So check that out if you haven't. So we have a red demon and a blue demon. Okay, we have both there. So it seems to be the impact of psychedelics. Now, that's something that was interesting too, is a lot of people who have psychedelic experiences see the same things. How could we all have the same hallucination or the same representation of our own mind, manifested? Because they're real, maybe? Nobody wants to say that though, right? Because we're all just crazy and we're all having the same delusion. We've never met. We're different ages. Some of us are living, some of us are not. We all hallucinate the same thing. A blue demon, that again is the Onis. And this is, I don't know what that guy is. Blue demon exists or remains a creature of myth and legend. There's the Mespo demons again. That was seen in the Exorcist movie. 9 notorious demons, and that one looks like Batman right there in the corner of that picture. Hold, please. Batman's a real significant part in what we're seeing take place on the world stage right now. And when I see something that reminds me of that, it kind of makes me know that I need to click on. Get away from me. You see him down there in the left-hand corner? It looks like Batman. I mean, Batman is kind of a demon, is it not? Does it not look demonic? But again, I want to be clear too, a lot of the gargoyles, for example, that you see on the outside of Catholic churches, if you look close at them, number one, they're goofy. They're not scary. Number two, they were to scare away demons. That's why they were placed there. So you're getting a lot of bad information from people on YouTube who don't know what they're talking about and just want to demonize another group. Again, they don't care what group is at each other's throat. They want men and women going at it. They want gays and straights going at it. They want Christians and Satanists going at it. They want Republicans and Democrats going at it. They want husbands and wives and parents and children going at it because they want an all-out civil war, but they don't want to be harmed during it, which is why you don't actually see any of them. All you see is them on a screen. But I'm trying not to preach. I don't preach. I'm not a preacher. Ancient demon, dark deity, or... Oh, it's talking about Lilith, yeah. Satanic looking angel. How do you know it's satanic looking, though? How do we know that? I think this is why God said not to do graven images, like not to paint anything under the sea, right? Because that's where the Nephilim reside still, and not to paint anything of the sky because we're so easily fooled. Okay, so this gets into Lilith. That's interesting that it went there with it. Snow demon. Huh. And then there's this thing that looks like Batman. Spring-heeled Jack, the uncatchable demon of Victorian England. Spring-heeled Jack. Wow, dude, he looks like Batman. I'm surprised nobody's made that connection before. He had horns and a pointed goatee. He could leap over rooftops and he could breathe fire. He did little harm aside from Shredded clothes and fits of hysteria and heart attacks people had. Oh, that's wild. The Jersey Devil, or the Mothman. The Mothman also has what? Those red eyes, like the blue horse, Lucifer, that we were talking about from the Colorado airport. Okay, so I don't want to get too far off. Basically, you saw how far this could go, and that across every culture and pretty much every religion, that there is some type of legend regarding blue demons or blue being related to the demonic. Now, I'm going to bounce on this one. I'm going to go, but watch for a video to be uploaded, a couple of them, because I have today and tomorrow off. So I might go ahead and catch up on just a couple little things, not too long, that I wanted to upload. One of them is about cloaking your thoughts. I know that sounds weird, but we're in a time where, again, do you feel like your phone and your devices are reading your mind and the algorithms know what you're thinking? Do you feel like sometimes people are talking about things that you just thought about? It's not a coincidence, not at the level it's happening. I've been working on different ways to kind of like cloak or protect my thoughts and keep them to myself. And so I'm going to share that with you. It's not going to be a long upload. It's going to be short. And a couple other things too. So just watch for those. I love you guys. Please converse as always. And let's not judge each other too harshly, and let's not judge by what other people say. Let's try to use our own minds and pay attention to our own intuition at this time, because we are being greatly manipulated. The last thing that any true Christian or Catholic or Christ follower would do would be to raise up arms. In fact, Christ told his men in Gethsemane garden to stand down. Stand firm in truth. Stand down with weapons of carnality. Stay blessed. I love you guys.